Welcome back. I'm Dr. George. You're taking me a series of a variety of classes to understand functionalities and disciplines within the business. Today we're going to be discussing HR, human resources. HR is an important aspect of all business from small to large. It basically looks at how do I bring new people into the culture, how do I develop the culture, how do I make sure that the company is diversified so there's no legal action against the organization, how do I make sure that I have the right employees, how do I make sure that management is treating the employees right, how do I make sure I have the right motivational tools, how do I make sure that I have the right succession planning for individuals, for the company to go forward if key personnels are not there, how do I help management motivate, hire, fire, or rehabilitate, for lack of better words, employees. Where do I get new employees? How do I change the culture of the employees? How do I help in assisting the employee make the transition from one company to my company? How do I help the employee make understand the value and the core values of the company? How do I explain my compensation package? What is cafeteria benefits? What benefits make sense for the organization? I am basically a staff personnel in an HR position. I'm saying if I though I'm not. I'm a consultant helping HR. Okay, I understand HR, but let's pretend I am an HR individual. I have to know all those things. Small businesses, you'll have an individual doing it part time. Larger companies, it's a whole department. They basically help, they train and everything else. HR going forward, if you look at the numbers, they say, well, the numbers are dropping down in HR because automation for your benefits, everything else, outsourcing. Certain things that HR functions they used to do, tell me your dependents, and let me tell you about our benefits package, everything else. Those things were outsourced out to the company providing to the providers or technology that could do it on their own. What HR does now is an advisor. They basically are the individuals who understand people. They're the in between that individual that finds a balance between management and employees. Remember, HR is a management position, but they have to take the side of the employees and they have to take the side of management. They're in the middle. They're the ones that keep the organization. When I'm looking at the personnel, the morale, the function, they're the ones injecting, telling management, here's what you should do. Here's what, your punishment's too hard. This policy may be, for lack of better words, disrespectful to a certain type of a class of individuals. All right. Now, when I'm looking at HR is more concerned now going forward. All companies with is diversification. When I look at diversification, other than affirmative action says whatever reason you'll find this out in HR. Read it. I'm not going to go too much, but diversification basically looks at to not to have any affirmative action by the court. The companies want to be diversified. They look at the target market they're serving, and if I got 70% African American, 30% Caucasian, or people of different whatever you're using as your gauge to make sure you're diversified, you should have those same percentages within the organization, not with just in one level, but within other levels within the company. Walmart had a discrimination thing because of they're not diversified. I walk in Walmart, I see every color, every national, but I see them on the floor at the level retail entry level associates. I think that's what they call them, salespeople, individual working the floor. When you start going up the ladder, middle managers, top management, you'll see fewer and fewer the relationships of different categories of group. Either it's by minority, or it's by color, it's by age, whatever. It gets smaller and smaller. It doesn't fit the norm of the population they're serving. So remember, diversification is a plus for the company. You understand the employees, they understand the customers, because employees are similar to the customers. So I could do a test thing, say, hey, do you think our employees will like it? Employees, when they go into the store, they see people of the same that they could connect with. You know what I mean? I'm Polish, so if someone speaks Polish, I could connect with them. Not that I don't like other people, but we are people I have. We connect. So HR basically does all that. So let's go. So I'm going to go into this. We're going to cover all this. I'm going to go real lightly on this because this is a whole chapter you'll have in there. A lot of information. You covered the book. You did a good job on that. So if I'm looking, let me just make this larger, and I'm just going to go over. I'm just going to open them up. Let's see, 150. And I want to keep this under 15 minutes. So let me just go real quickly. I want to go in here, types of resource management. I'm just opening it up so you know what they have. Make sure you know recruitment. Here's what they do. Challenges, workers, shortage of workers. There's a lot of workers out there, but do they have the skill sets I need? I know some schools, it depends on the area, they graduate from high school, they got a high school diploma, but they have very difficulty reading or comprehending. So a lot of companies, if they're in that area, this is my work pool, I have to do supplemental English classes or comprehend, so they at least know read the manual. I expect students to know Word. I expect students to have some technology abilities, how to do social media, how to use some kind of a program. Programs, not only social media, but programs related to business. And when I'm requiring certain skills when I go for the application, these are skills that I need, not just because they sound good, I need them to function. And so the government says, these are skills you need, fine, where are you going to get them? But make sure that your department and overall you're diversified and your reflection of the population you're serving. Look, if I'm in certain parts of the U.S., I'm going to use Wilmette. I used to work in the North Shore area. Wilmette, if you know Wilmette, is a very high-end area. It's in the northeastern suburbs, for lack of better words, along the lakefront. Wilmette is predominantly white, high-end, very high. I think some of the people there may be even higher, or equal to Barrington, if you're familiar with the areas. High-end community, 250 and up. Income range, very red. Executives live there. Okay, now if you're going to go over there and say, "Hey, I want to have 60% African American," the population may have 1% African American. I'm opening up a store there. I may have to, so I'll have or Hispanic or whatever. I have to look at it. I may want to have more African Americans in there. I may want to have people of color. They're just not there, because I can't get them there. When I used to work for ComEd, we were trying to get more women into construction. And sometimes we had difficulties. Ladies, I'm not stereotyping, I'm just generalizing. But we had problems. And they say, hey, you don't have enough women as a representation to the population. We basically say, you find them, we'll hire them if they want to work at that. But remember, you could have it open, but some people may not want it. All you have to show for HR that I made a conscientious effort. I'm going out there. I'm trying to recruit them. I just can't find them. They'll leave you alone. But you should still have the diversification. Your company should be diversified to the people that are utilizing your services. Okay? All right, so we got that. Civil rights, I'm not going to go into that. We have all that. You know that. Controversial, all right, affirmative action, anyway, 485. Your big thing now is reverse discrimination, Americans with disabilities. Remember, I have to do with reasonable accommodation. If I'm a small business, I can't afford all these high-tech equipment, so you can't sue me. If I'm a larger company, what makes sense? If I need $500,000 of equipment to hire, that's not a reasonable accommodation. Reasonable accommodation is something that I can afford, and it makes sense for the organization. So I reasonably try to accommodate the individual that has disabilities, and I should be all right. That's all that we could ask for, okay? Age discrimination. Okay, job. Okay, now here's the two I want to talk: job analysis and recruitment. Now I'm going to try to focus on that. Job analysis tells me about the job. It has two aspects to it. Job description tells you the job. It tells me you got to clean the toilet. That's what I have to do. No discrimination against that. That's what I hired for. Job specification, it tells me the skills. So if I say you have to be clean the toilet, you only have to be Polish, that could be discrimination. Because someone that's not Polish can still clean the toilet. But I'm saying you got to be Polish. Why does it have to be Polish? Why do you require? If I ask someone to be bilingual, I'm saying it because I'm in a predominantly Spanish area. I have enough people speaking English. I need someone who speaks Spanish, speaks Polish, speaks German, Russian, Chinese, Korean. I don't care. I could justify that. But everyone I interview has to be able to have those skills. But you don't have to be Korean. You don't have to be Chinese, because you could be fluent in the language. You grew up there, but you're not Chinese. You understand the language. Do you see what I mean? I'm not saying I have to have Chinese people. I have to have someone to understand the language. All right? Good. Now, if you really, all right, so that's HR. So you have internal, how I hire people, posting, everything else. External, basically, I look internal, external to make sure I got the right employee, right? And when you're doing your resume, most of your resumes have to be electronic. Remember, you send your resume electronically, have a picture if you want. You don't have to. A lot of people want videos. They look at your social media. They look at a lot of information. When you're sending your resume and everything else, another way to get a job, don't look at the posting. Use LinkedIn. It's a social media. People post on there, hey, I'm George, I got these skills, blah, 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 I'm working here, I'm very happy, I got promoted. They do reverse. They look for people who may have their job, has the skill sets, already a veteran, for like, not a military, but experience in that field, and they'll try to take them away from that company, bring them over here because they got the skills they need. They've already been proven, and then they'll give them a little bit more money or try to enhance them to come over. When they enhance them or her to come over to that area, they're basically saying, hey, we'll pay a little bit more, but you've got the experience. Now you have to look at about clauses. Could you bring the information? Could you bring this in? So you have some of this competition clauses that you can't work for a competitor for 2-3 years, especially different levels, because you have too much information. It could hurt the company you left. All right, it's just something out there. So selection process, right? The different selection. They call you. They have interview. They just tell you, send you a YouTube or something else, right? So you got screening. Keep the right Facebook. Remember, they're watching you. Well, no, I'm not going to give them my account. They don't really care. For a fee, look, if you go on there and say, I'm going to date George. I'm not dateable, but I'm going to date George or Sally or whatever the name is. You go in there for a fee. I can find out how many times I was divorced, how many times. All this information, there's company that does data mining. People are afraid of the government having too much information. You have to be worried about the companies that have a lot of information. Okay, part of your thing is going to be training. Right, contingent workers. They're only temporary workers. You bring them in, and right, you bring them in, and you look at HR. You're trying to balance your workload. Do I have summer is really a lot? Do I need all those employees, and I can't keep them fully employed throughout the year? I'm better off either paying overtime or bringing in workers that are trained to have certain requirements, like I do at the colleges. I'm a contractor for the college, adjunct instructor. I got the same responsibility. I got the same qualifications, if not more, because I bring experience into the teaching. But I also, I come in there, I don't need all the benefits, all that, because I have that. I'm looking for pay. I do one thing. They use me, and I teach a variety of classes, different disciplines. Don't need me, but no work. But that's what an independent contractor is. That's what small businesses are. They bring them in. You like your repeat customers, you have them, you keep them on board, you keep them happy, and they come back, but they have to meet this minimum requirements or exceed the minimum requirement similar to your full-time employees. And what I found out, some of my contractors are better than some of my full-time. They figure, I can't fire me, I've been here for a while. Contractor, he knows if that company or that individual doesn't do a good job, they're out there going to find somebody else. Okay, 3 steps in training, I've got this, and they talked about assessing, designing, evaluating. Okay, most commonly used training here, if you got it, orientation, learning, apprenticeship, on-the-job training. On-the-job training, be careful, because basically it slows down the person who's your high performer, so you got to adjust his or her goals. And remember, if you have someone just to fill in on-the-job training because you don't have the official training, it's going to take some time, and that person may be trained wrong. A lot of companies do the like shadow an individual. just so they understand the different functionality. Then do the formal training, bring them in, work in that field, bring them in, back and forth. So you have to have a procedure to be training. Small businesses, here's the book, get out there, train. If I bring someone from another company, all I got to do is train them on my policies and my pricing. They already understand that, okay? Management training is here we go. I think it's freezing up on me. Here we go. Development round. Just open them up for you. I've covered everything I want. Why do good employees quit? You have an exit interview. I'm firing. I don't need an exit. You're out of here. But you understand why they quit? Because to bring a new employee in, you got to develop and train them, and you're losing money and investment in them. So if you're doing your resume and you're hopping a lot of jobs, every 3 months you're moving, odds are I ain't going to hire you. Because I figure you're going to stay here 3 months, you're going to leave. I want to spend the money. I want to make sure you're an investment, so I'm trying to find the right individual. Not because, so when you're going for the interview, don't say, why do you want to work for you? Oh, you got good benefits, you pay well, all this, blah, blah. Yeah, that's all about you. Why do you want to work for me? Because I've got skills that will basically help this company. I'm a marketing manager. I know how to do this. I could come up. Now, the benefits are late. So if you start telling me you're hiring me just because of my money, why do you want to go out with me? Oh, you got a car, you got a house, you got cash. You're a money getter. Come on. Why do you want to go out for? I like you. You got a nice personality. You're happy. Blah, blah, whatever the hell you're telling them. That means I want to be with you because we could make a connection, not because what you've got. Because the minute I lose my house, I lose my job. See you later, George. We had a good time. Bye. And people are going. So when you're looking to interview, and then you want to make sure that they have the right culture. They have the right values that you're looking for. If you're a conservative, you're looking for conservative values. If you're conservative and you want to have a little bit of liberal values, you start hiring some liberals, not just one person to change over. I teach organizational culture. You have to have a few to so they have a support group within themselves, okay? You do some of the proposals 360. You may sit on some of the proposals. You are, unless you're managing someone, you are an advisor to make sure everything's going. There's some issues, and you say a lot of people, they don't have communication skills. You will assist the manager either doing some training that you're going to provide, or you'll bring some trainers in there, okay? 6 steps of appraisals. You assist the manager to make sure that the appraisals are achievable, and that it's not so hard that people have to cheat and work on the ethics, okay? Performance appraisals, different tools, right? And you help some errors, you help management to overcome these errors, halo effect. So when you're doing the interview, if you look at most interviews, smaller businesses, me and the owner, they just want a body. As they get larger, you may have 2 people. You always have the manager that you'll be working for. You have HR, basically does the soft skills, okay? Compensation, so this way there's a balance. One looked at it, another manager, different people, different individual. So you can't say George doesn't like women, George doesn't like men, George doesn't like a minority, George doesn't like this. Whatever it is, now you have this, and then you have a consensus. So this way it shows that you have different viewpoints, and it's just not one individual. And that's to take care of some of these halo effects and different contrasts and everything else, okay? Different pay systems, how you're going to pay them. Remember, don't ask for money when you're in an interview. This is us when you're interviewing. You ask them, hey, what about the company? Will I be able to use my skill set? I want to go back to school. I want to get better. I want to be a professional. That's what the company wants to hear, so they're willing to invest. Then after, when they're ready to hire you, then you're going to go, okay, what about this? Here's the pay. Then you find out, well, you know what? I got all this experience. I got this schooling. I don't have the experience. So I think I deserve a little more. Now you're negotiating, right? It's just like you're going out with the person. You meet the person one day, second day, and after a while you're in a relationship. Okay, I got Tuesday nights are guys' night, Wednesday nights are girls' night, or ladies' night, whatever. Do you see? But you're negotiating. So if I'm looking at a company and the relationship is similar to how you do a relationship in your face-to-face and your everyday relationships, okay? So you got the different businesses, French benefits, you got different ones that you're hiring for, and flexible plans right now, right? Terminate an employee, and basically sometimes employees is not a good fit. And then some of the books, they said, you don't fire them, I unhire them. It's like I annulled the wedding or annulled the relationship. Even in a relationship, you should have a good way of leaving. If there's some way that doesn't work out with the company, both ways, and you say, hey, look, I like this, but the company's not growing fast enough, I'm not using my skill set, I got to go here. Employer understands that because they're moving along the same way in the company. But tell someone one day, hey, I'm not coming to work, I quit, you're a jerk. That's not how you do it. Or on Instagram, you're going on to someone and you see, hey, we're no longer going together. I platformed you, or I connected you. You're no longer on my media. Yeah. What the heck? Can't you just tell me you're a jerk in my face? Remember, there's a different procedure, there's different ways. And if I'm looking at employees, but you have to give them through the different grievance procedures, you have to make sure it wasn't your training, it wasn't something else here. And if it's a good employee, how do I keep him or her to stay? I might have to change some of my compensation. I might have to work HR to give me some advice. If I'm firing someone, HR is going to say how you fire them with respect and fire them legally so they can come back to sue you. And one thing about HR, remember, they would rather have you quit instead of them firing you. Because if you quit, you can't come back and sue them, say, hey, you quit. If you fired, then you may have some legal. Even if you quit, you still have some legal ramification. Look at that. And remember, your resumes and everything should be clean. Make sure you have a phone interview. Look at the resume. Make sure you have the right individuals that you're using as your references. And I think I covered, and everything else. The book is excellent. There's a lot of information. So either take me fully for HR. Sometimes I'll teach that. Take other classes to go into a little more detail, and what you're learning, how a company hires people. Now you know the skill sets and how I should be presenting myself when I'm going for that interview. And some of the interviews are going to be like we're doing now, is either you're going to send me a recording, and that's how, application to schools, that's how they're doing. You send me a recording, talk to me. With the COVID-19, it's opened up technology, so I have to kind of adjust what was acceptable before and what's acceptable now. Okay, so let me go in here. I'm just going to bring this back down. So I leave you. The last thing in your mind is, remember, your mind is still recording, even though you may not remember some of this. Fit map, here we go. Okay, so you have all this. How many minutes do we have? 21 minutes, we're right on schedule. Again, thanks a lot, and I'll see you in our other lesson. Again, my name is Dr. George Mochocki. Bye.